So if you've ever wondered what a seasoned leader looks like, or what, this is what we have right here. So let's give them a hand of applause at the start. So the question again is about hindsight and getting their wisdom, looking back, and how they've managed as leaders. So let me start with Deborah. Ladies first, like I said. Deborah, if you could advise your younger self, what would you say about navigating tech leadership in your space?
So we've been having this discussion the whole morning of what the younger self in our generation was. So that younger self was that IT person who sit behind a desk and wait for the cables to be pulled out or the keyboard not to work to go and sort the boss or the team. And so that is the younger self. And I come from a hospitality space where technology at that time was highly driven by, it was random. It was mainly driven by vendors, actually. Vendors coming in and telling us, there's this technology that has come in, you guys will benefit from it. Either vendors or even our guests coming in and telling us, in Seattle, this is what we do. And so if you're not doing it in your hotel, we are not coming back again. And so we stayed in that space for so long that we had to move from it. And what I would tell myself then is it was an opportune time for us to relate with the financials, to relate with revenues, just understand how can IT be a revenue generator in the hospitality space? How can I work with the marketing and sales team to be able to generate more revenues? I think it was an opportune time at that time to just relate with the rest of the people in the organization to make it better.
Okay. I want you to hang on to that thought, financial acumen. I'll come back to you on that one in the next round. So let me ask you, Riley, because you have quite a bit of experience. Looking back, what is one misconception that you had about leadership in your younger days? And maybe just follow that up with what leadership lesson you wish you had learned looking back. Oh, yes.
Thank you. I would say focus on things that matter as opposed to things that seem obvious. And I'll give a couple examples of that. In high school, I watched a lot of Star Trek. And I thought, okay, Vulcans, they've got it right. It's all about logic and thinking, and all this messy emotion stuff doesn't matter. And I brought that into my early career and was not very good at anything I was doing because it took me a while to learn that people matter more than process and technology. The other one I would offer is that influence matters more than power. Basically, in my position now, I don't have any power, but I have a lot of influence, and I feel like I can be more effective. And as I watch and mentor other folks into leadership roles, I'd have to remind them, it's not about being able to stand on a chair and say, I command you to do this. It's about the influence and helping other people agree with your ideas and feel like they're good things to run with. So that's your first question. The second one, leadership lesson when navigating global tech trends. And this is going to be a little wonky, but I would say it's important to keep abreast of regulatory regimes. About 40% of Netscope's customers are non-North American, which gives us a lot of interesting exposure to regulatory regimes worldwide, including recently some in various countries in Africa. And I would go so far as to say that vendors, so many of us are vendors, so I'm going to talk from a vendor perspective, helping our customers comply with regulations faster than somebody else could give us competitive advantage. And in fact, it has. So those are the two examples I would give you.
Influence matters more than power, and people matter more than
technology and
process. Okay, that's really great. Let me go to Gigi. Gigi, in the healthcare space, it's a high stakes, complex space. And maybe just as a first point, what leadership lessons have you learned about resilience, stakeholder management, and so on? Do you wish you had known earlier?
I'll just copy from Riley. When you're learning technology in school, they just give you a bunch of math, then teach you coding, then tell you these are the servers you're going to be managing, and then you get a job. Then they put humans in front of you. So you're not prepared for that. And in healthcare, they put doctors, they put lab technicians, radiographers, and these are high skill professions. You can't, like in other industries, overload them with your IT know-how. So a doctor, you cannot tell a doctor anything. He'll most likely try to outwit you in some way. So one of the things I wish I learned is you need to be able to, first of all, listen to what they have to say before you jump out with your cool, crazy ideas and try to impose on them on how backwards you think their practices are, as opposed to your new technology ways. And it was a humbling experience my first 2 years in healthcare, because I really learned a lot by just sitting down and saying, okay, so I guess it makes sense why they have to do it that way. Now I have to rethink my proposal, my solution on how to actually help them do it the way they would like to do it, but much more efficiently. So in a way, you get their buy-in, and in some level, you get the appreciation of what they do. So engaging the actual people you're giving the solution to is something I wish I'd learned in school or in some sort of training, and being humble enough to accept that sometimes maybe the hard way is one of the only ways you can do it, and learning it helps you appreciate why it has to be done that way.
Wow. He's talked about listening, and then I heard him say buy-in. We'll come back to that because I have a question for you about buy-in. So thank you so much, Gigi. So Emmanuel, last but not least, in the first round of questions, you're in sales. Sounds like my territory. I did that for many years. What is the one thing you wish you understood earlier about selling tech solutions in emerging markets? Leading teams, especially when it comes to cultural, intelligence across the region?
Yeah, so for me, I think the greatest lesson I should have learned earlier is that selling technology is not about how fancy your solution is, but it's about how the solution works for the customer, and if you understand the local dynamics, because your solution can be really good, but the approach used to talk to the prospect, it makes the difference. A good example for us, we are a multinational company. We have colleagues from different parts of the world. We have people from Netherlands, we have from the UK, Ghana, South Africa. And when I came into the company, some of the local customers were telling me, I didn't like the way your colleague from maybe South Africa was talking to me, or Netherlands was talking to me. So when I drilled down, I found out it's more of a cultural issue. So you need to understand how decisions are made, the hierarchy, and how you talk to people. So for me, that has made a difference. And in terms of leadership, I transitioned from being an individual contributor to now managing a team. And I expected, like what motivates me, the things I do on a daily basis, it should be automatic to the rest of the guys I'm working with. But I came to find out that it's really hard. Obvious things are not so obvious to everybody. So they force you to be very uncomfortable in your position and start doing things that you never used to do. So I came to realize that for you to manage a team, it's actually not a team. They're individuals. So don't treat them as a group, but look down at each of those individuals, where they're coming from, what motivates them, what their situations are. Yeah. At the moment I was able to identify that, then I started making headways with the guys. Yeah.
Wow. How many resonate with what he has said? Yeah, you've been told, please, next time you come, don't come with that person from wherever. I've been there. And yeah, thank you so much, Emmanuel. Let me circle back to you, Deborah, because you talked about, the importance of understanding business fundamentals and so on, yeah, on financial acumen. Are you able to give us examples of how this competency is so important, financial acumen, even from an IT leadership point of view, in influencing how the organization is moving forward?
Let me just tell a very short story on that, just for the example. So as I was starting up my career, at some point I was given a role in the HR office. And I had to work in the HR office, cross exposure, we call it, for like 3 months. And I respect HR practitioners because I almost dished out all my salary to people coming and telling me their problems. And I kept on wondering, how do you survive in this office? But the thing is, the one thing that I should have learned then is dealing with people, understanding people. And that would now, coming back to your question, have helped me deal with the finance. We always fight with finance people when we are doing our projects, and it's because we do not project the value in their terms as IT. And so that's the one key thing that now we are starting to understand, that it's not about, I think yesterday we had a speaker who said, it's not about technical debt anymore. It's about the value debt. What is this solution coming into the business? What is it going to do for the business? How is it going to help us generate value? Is it impactful to the business at the time? And those are the things that we didn't consider then when we were young. And so it's very important for us to understand the financial bit of the business, how the money comes in and how the money is spent.
Yeah, thanks, Deborah. And because you're sitting next to Gigi, I want to jump to him on that financial value, and articulating the financial value in to the teams that the organization and the teams that you're leading. So, Gigi, I'll jump to you on especially articulating this value in the boards. Right, you have to go and present your pitch to the board and so on. The approvals that you need to get and so on and so forth. What do you wish you had known earlier about leading in that context of convincing the board to release the money?
A couple of things. One is I started listening to this speaker on YouTube called Rory Sutherland. And he says, humans are not rational creatures. We rationalize. So we like to justify something we want to do or something we did. But really, we don't have a straightforward trail of why we want to do it or why we did it. So speaking to the board, you have to start understanding what the board envisions in terms of what they would like to, I call it what they would like to brag about when they're meeting their peers. If you look at the space of the board members, they're sitting with other high-flying professionals or engaging with very high-level people. So they would like to have conversations that this is what we are doing. This is the kind of team I'm leading. So it has to be something that is of high value. Now, how do you take something as simple as maybe like backup to a board level conversation? You don't say it's backing up, making sure that we don't lose data, because now you've lost in, because the first question is, I hired you to make sure that doesn't happen. So you present it as a resilience. You present it as, I'm sure there are so many use cases. We just had the data center in Korea that went up with a lot of data. Just present it in a way that says, look, this is what we are trying to avoid. We will not end up in this kind of situation. We just need a bit of support to make sure that we are resilient. So these are the words that you use. We are resilient, making sure that we have business continuity in case anything happens, because they also understand there's risk. There are things that can happen that will potentially impact the business negatively. So you're telling them, look, I'm taking care of the business future, not trying to stop things, and making sure that we have a future. So if you present the conversations in such a manner, you're able to now get their buy-in, and they're listening to you like, okay, he has an idea of what we're trying to achieve, and he's trying to make sure that we are always working. So yeah, those are the kind of tactics that you want to use with the board.
Very good tips. Guys, it's not about as you're leading, just going and talking, your own things. You have to, first of all, listen to the podcasts. and that will help you with the, articulation to the board. All right. So let me jump to something else, and then I'll come to you, Steve. It's the IT field. It's very stressful. You can get stressed, and I know from after COVID, there's what they call the fatigue that sets in, and is set in, and probably we've never recovered since then. As people in tech, I want to get into work-life integration. As a leader, how do you avoid burnout? In very high pressure roles like the one you have.
Yeah, thank you. Am I loud enough? Probably. Maybe there's a recording or something. I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction. It took me a long time to learn that you shouldn't stress over things you can't control. And I'm going to give you an example. British Airways has failed me 4 times this year. They stranded me in Dubai last week, and they stranded me here. But I was able to work around it, right? But I'm sitting in my room and I'm just fuming mad at these people. And it's like, well, but why am I mad? Because, I can deal with workarounds, and it's not, it's the plane's fault, right? Usually. And so, like I said, it took me a long time to learn not to stress over things I can't control. Clearly, I haven't fully learned the lesson yet. And I just see this all the time, again, in the young people who I mentor for leadership roles, is that they get wrapped around that stuff so much, and then they kind of forget about the things that they can control and where they can exercise the influence that I think really matters.
That's a hard one. Don't stress over things you cannot control. And then the whole organization is looking at you. You're the tech guy. But yeah, I think that's very great insights. And talking about things you can control, let me go to the sales guy, Emmanuel. These numbers, I once worked for an organization, a big tech. And if you don't make your numbers, just start packing your bags, in May, because in June, if the numbers don't come, you will leave in July. So what are the biggest mistakes that you actually have made in your sales leadership? And what did that teach you, Emmanuel?
I think one of my bosses in the audience, so I'm not going to confess. Yeah.
Okay.
I think for me, maybe some of the things I could have done better earlier is to invest in relationships. Because what I've realized that for you to succeed in sales, it's about relationships. It's about whom you know. It's about the trust you have built and the credibility you build in the industry. So I should have been more intentional at the very beginning, because I've been in the industry for almost 15 years. And I feel that what I'm enjoying right now, I've only been able to do it in the last 5 years. It's when I became more intentional about putting myself out there, getting to know people, creating the network. So that's something I should have invested earlier. Technology evolves very fast. What we are discussing right now, I'm sure when we come next year, it will be a different story. So we can always learn technology, but the network keeps growing. So that's something I should have done earlier. Yeah.
Okay. As a leader, invest in relationships. That's what I hear you saying, Emmanuel.
Relationships.
And
build trust and credibility. Yeah.
Yes.
That never goes away.
Okay. Did you ever get your number before 5 years? Because it looked like you learned this just the last 5 years.
No. And actually, when you do these things consistently,
yes,
the numbers just come. You don't have to be pushy.
Yeah.
In fact, what I believe in is what you call sense-making sales.
Yes.
Your job is just to provide information, help the customer, gather enough data for them to make a decision. But don't be on the customer's neck saying, sign this contract.
Yeah.
The customer will always sign when they are ready, when they feel they have gathered enough information to make the decision. Yeah, so I'm always there to provide the information. Then the numbers will follow. Lots of it, once you do that.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Emmanuel. Let me, time is really going, but Deborah, I'm coming back to you on I see quite a number of ladies in the room. Please put up your hand. I just trying to, if you're a lady in the room, let me see. Good. All right. Okay. We are probably less than a third. And Deborah, what I'm coming to is, I'm sure everybody here is a leader, because we all, leadership is about self-leadership and then leading others at the end of the day. What skills should, especially ladies, start building today, as they, aspire to be where you are, from a leadership point of view? So talk to aspiring leaders.
Very interesting, the bus. What is one of the skills that I have learned over the journey that I really keep close to my heart is don't wait for people to sign your permissions to follow your dreams. I think that has sat in very well for me this year, because if you wait for someone to, and I was that person who sat back and said, the business will see what I've done. I am performing. I am outperforming myself. I'm working very long hours. But the business will not see you if you do not lift up your hand. And there's the narrative that the ladies have to work twice as hard as the men. I think it's a myth now. We don't have to work twice as hard as the men. We just have to present value to the business, be strategic in how we are sitting on the table in the boardrooms, and just be bold in presenting your ideas to the board. And I think that is very clear that then the ladies will keep growing. And just as the DX Nova, I want to see all of you get to that point. So I'm looking forward to handing it over to another lady who will grow and become a DX Nova.
All right. You don't look like you're at that age of handing it over. Some of us are. But thank you so much. Don't look for permission to, put up your hand, just do what you need to do. I still have 5 more minutes. Is that okay? Good. Between everybody and lunch? 4. Okay. So let me try to start winding this down. And Steve, I'll ask something. I mean, we're in the age of AI and so on and so forth. What role do you see AI and automation playing in leadership decisions in the next 5 years?
I'm going to get a little specific in the answer to this question and say something that is perhaps controversial. AI is not a tool. It doesn't extend the body like a hammer does. Ultimately, we're people leaders, and all of us here have been mentioning in our answers people, and so we've got to continue to cultivate creativity in people. Don't let these non-tool things substitute for that, because they can't actually create anything. They just output whatever they've learned. Now, as far as automation, I think this is where AI actually has a place. Predictive automation can help us build better defenses in our systems and our data and our networks. But also, think of it this way, that automation is good. It's ideal for tasks that bore people, but it is miserable for tasks that require insight and innovation. So find the things you can automate using AI, ensure that people don't get bored. The other thing that I think is useful to ponder for a moment is that attackers love automation. You can download scripts, and you can be an attacker with zero technical knowledge. The latest example I read about was a smishing kit. You all know what smishing is? Fraudulent text messages. You don't need to know anything about SS7 or any of the telco stuff. Just do it. So we as defenders, and I'm speaking as a security person here, we as defenders need to figure out how to automate everything, well, the automatable things that we do, the boredom-inducing things. But remember, whenever you introduce an automation framework, test it, because if a mistake is in your framework, automation can make mistakes faster than people. So remember that that's the best thing to do as you look at AI and automation. Test, and then deploy, so you free people up to be creative and innovative.
All right. My last question, I'll ask it both to Gigi and Emmanuel. And it's about retaining top talent as a leader. Global firms are competing for the same talent as, your organizations. How do you actually retain top talent?
Okay, for me, let me say Stockholm syndrome.
30 seconds.
Stockholm syndrome. So make them love the pain. So so what the typical thing about techies is they want to solve something and move on to the next. And I'll give us quick story. So my engineer comes and tells me that we need to increase the bandwidth because his monitor is showing him that we're actually maxing. And I'm like, this guy's just running away from a problem. So ask him, go deeper, give me a report of what's consuming bandwidth. So he gives me a report. We find it's a server. He goes like, I think we're hacked. So this is not my problem. It's the cyber security guy's problem. Like, no, let's go deeper. Then we discover that actually it's our e-learning server. It was supposed to be used internally, but now they're using it externally and it's hosting some high quality videos, which is consuming the bandwidth. So
Make
these,
them love the pain.
yes.
Good. Let's stop there. Make them love the pain.
So,
Emmanuel.
so for us, we keep those we can keep, and for those who go, they usually go. Yeah, they are. So we are happy that most of them go to very good places and they become our ambassadors out there. So
All right. Okay. That's a great one. Let's give it up for the wonderful panel. Thank you so much. Those were great insights. It's been a short while. Thank you, Riley. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Gigi. And thank you, Emmanuel. Let's give them a round of applause once again. Thank you so much. All right. I think we're done. Thank you.